Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you're all doing really well today. So I'm super excited for today's video because I am finally getting around to sharing 10 of my favourite self-help books with you guys. So yeah, I call them self-help books, you could call them motivational books or inspirational books. Just books that make you feel great and that give you the tools that you need to live the best life that you possibly can. So I've got 10 books here that I want to review with you guys. But I do use a Kindle, so I can't show the actual physical books because I do use this. I find it a lot easier when I'm on the road, and just in general I just find this so much better than a physical book, although nothing does quite replace an actual book in your hands. But yeah, for time and money I just use this little guy. So yeah, the 10 books that I want to share are in no particular order at all. It's just all of the books that I really enjoy and that I've read in the last few years that I've really enjoyed having in my life and have enjoyed the things that I've learned. So yes, so the first book that I want to share with you guys is You're a Badass by Jen Sincero. So this is an amazing book. I feel like I'm going to say that about all of the books, but yeah, this one in particular, I've read it about 3 times and I'm about to start reading it again. So every time that I start to get into a bit of a lull with my life, I read this book and it really gives me that kick up the butt to get going again and to keep going with what I'm doing because I am a badass. But no, Jen is amazing. She's just like a really relatable woman. She's from New York, so she swears quite a lot throughout her book, but I just find it really funny and quirky and just a bit different to most self-help books that you get. So yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, then this might be the book for you. She goes into all aspects of life. She talks about routine, she talks about diet, she talks about lifestyle, she just talks about it all, and she helps you to find your passion, to find your purpose, and to give you the drive to carry on with life. So that's awesome, and it's what we all need a little bit more of. So one of the quotes, that's what I was going to say before, I want to share a quote from each book with you all so that you can kind of get a feel for what the book's about and it might inspire you to read it. So my favourite quote from this book is, "If you're serious about changing your life, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse." So yeah, this quote stuck with me since the day that I read it. I was like, wow, that is amazing. You all know that I'm a lover of quotes, and when I read this one I was like, I need this in my life forever. And so from that point on, every single to-do list I wrote, like every single anything that I wrote down, I would write that at the bottom and I'd be like, you've got no excuses now, Kay. So yeah, I highly recommend writing that quote anywhere because then it will make you really need to do the things you want to do if you are passionate about them in the first place. So the next book is Life in Half a Second by Matthew Nicolai. I don't know if I've said that right at all, but this book's amazing. It came into my life a long time ago now. Yeah, a lot of years ago. I was really feeling quite down that day and I was just at home on my own and I was like, oh, I'm really not feeling it, and I was watching a YouTube video of someone and they were like, oh, you've got to read this book, Life in Half a Second, and I was like, this sounds morbid but interesting. And so I read it and I'm so glad that I read it, and I don't think it's the kind of book that I would ever have read had I have not had the recommendation, but I loved it. And it, like I said, I think it's one of my first self-help books that I ever did read, and it really just gives you that perspective back. It gives you perspective of life and how fortunate we all are to be alive, to be breathing, to be functioning, and to be able to live long and happy lives together. And that's the main thing, like, that we forget when we start to feel anxious, when we start to feel depressed or lost along the way, is that you're here, and that is amazing. And this book kind of gave me that, so I really am thankful for it. And yeah, it's not that long of a book. I think I read it all in one afternoon. Yeah, I go hard into things sometimes when especially books, if I really get into a book, I will just literally read the whole thing in a day if I can. So the amazing quote that I got from this one, and there were plenty in this book, but the main one that I want to share is, "You have everything to gain and nothing to lose, so live, damn it, live. Be in a hurry to live. Live each day like it's a dream. Live each year like it's your last. Enjoy life down to the last drop, the very last millisecond. Because dream or not, you only have half a second, so make the most of your days left. Do everything you want to, and do it now before it's too late." So like I said, that sense of urgency is there, and it really gets you going. It really gets you motivated and feeling like you want to conquer life. So the next book is book number 3, and that is The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. So I love this book. I read this when I was in Australia and we were in a bit of a limbo period, and I started to feel like I really wanted to find my purpose in life, and reading this book just got me going. It gave me a real passion and it gave me a purpose for those few weeks while we were just kind of in limbo between places. So yeah, basically the book's just about getting up early and achieving success before it's even like 8 o'clock. So I think the book recommends waking up at 5, but I think you can implement this morning routine into your life at any time of day. But it basically works on the principle that all of the successful people in the world have woken up way before you and have already achieved so much before you've even stepped out of bed. And that mindset is amazing, to just wake up in the morning and be like, I've got so much to do today, let's bounce out of bed, you know, just that. I don't know if you've ever done this, but like if you plan to do something the day before you go to bed, it's so much easier to get up in the morning. And so yeah, there are 6 steps to this that I'm going to explain. Where are we? So there is first meditation, then affirmations, visualization, scribing, which means writing, reading, and then exercise. So your morning routine can last as long as you want it to. I think there's one on his website that's like 6 minutes long, which isn't long at all. And it implements the law of attraction, and it makes a really good morning routine. And when you do this routine, you just feel like you've bossed life. And so I remember doing it loads of times and just being like, oh my gosh, it's only like 6 a.m. and I've already done like everything that I always put off doing all day. And so yeah, it just means that you can carry on with your day knowing that you've achieved so much already. So if you are looking for a morning routine or some kind of routine in your life, I highly recommend this book. So the next book is book number 4, and this is Sleep Smarter by Shawn Stevenson. So I love this book. I can't recommend this book enough to everybody in my life, because I don't know, like there's just something about it that's just so holistic and so nurturing. And I found out about this from the Ritual podcast. Shawn Stevenson went on there as a guest and they spoke about his book. And so if you don't have time to necessarily listen to this book, I highly recommend listening to their podcast. It's an hour long, I think. And they cover a lot of the topics that are in his book. So, you know, even if you're not sure about buying the book, you could just listen to the podcast and get a real good feel for what this book is about. But he talks about everything. He talks about lifestyle, he talks about the sun, he talks about exercise, he talks about hormones, and like just every single thing in life that can impact things. And it's just fascinating, and it shows you how amazing sleep is and how necessary it is, but how we all get too much or not enough sleep. And yeah, it just kind of explains the perfect way to like change your life to make sure you get the best night's sleep possible and the benefits of doing that. And he's just got loads and loads of studies. It's a very comprehensive book and quite quirky. He's like quite a quirky writer, a bit like Jen from the first book as well. Like they're just both quite quirky people, so I really enjoy that. It's a bit more of a light-hearted read. So my favourite quote from this book is, "In our culture, sleep is not respected much at all. In fact, we are often programmed with the idea that to be successful, we need to work harder, sleep less, and that we can catch up on all the sleep we want when we're dead." So I was like, well, that hits the nail on the head really, of like what our society thinks of sleep. Especially when you're a teenager and you're like going through life, you know, you just think, oh, I'll just catch up on sleep when I'm dead, or oh, I'll just catch up on the weekend. But you just keep going every single day, and it burns you out. And you know, you think that by not sleeping and carrying on working, you're going to achieve so much more, but all you do is just get tired and your work suffers for it. And so this book helps to change mindset around sleep, and it really helped for me. Yeah, it made me value sleep again, which is something I didn't do for a very long time. So I'm sorry this is going to be so long. I'm trying to condense it as much as possible because there are quite a lot of things that I've got to talk about. Number 5 is called Wanderlust, which is a modern yogi's guide to discovering your best self. So this book is awesome, and it's just so visually appealing. So I first bought this on my Kindle, and after buying it I was like, damn, I wish I'd have bought the like actual physical book. And so I bought it for my friend and had a little look through before I gave it to her, and she was just like, wow, this is the most amazing book ever. It's so big, like it's like a yoga bible. But it's not just about like, you know, the postures of yoga. It talks about everything, like the spiritual side and just like all of it. It's got diet in there. It's just got loads of nice little snippets and meditations and visualization exercises, and there are little stickmen yoga like routines that you can do as well, which I thought was pretty cute. And it's filled to the brim with quotes, and you all know that I love quotes, so this book was amazing for me. Yeah, so Wanderlust is a festival that is in the world, like it's in the world, definitely. No, it's all over the world. They have these massive festivals. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. I'd love to go to one day. And so this is like a book version of that, so it's really nice that it's accessible to everybody. So my favourite quote from this book is, "May your choices reflect your hopes and not your fears." So short and sweet and very, very simple, but I think that's really powerful, and it's a powerful message to every single person that every choice you make along the way, you know, needs to be won through passion and not fear, because if it's always out of fear, you're not going to get to where you want to be. Whereas if you are making choices that are going to positively impact your future, then that is always great. And this book in particular would work super well with the Miracle Morning, because you can just dip in and out of it whenever you want. You can just flick to any page and there's just like articles and just these awesome little snippets of information that you can just read, you know, just like read for like 5 minutes before sleep, and you can actually read the whole thing. So yeah, really love that book and I highly recommend it. So the next book is book number 6. And it's The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. So I love this book. I put off reading it for the longest time, and then one day I was just like, whatever, I'm just gonna read it and see how it goes. And so I think I read it last year sometime, and it was groundbreaking. It's one of the most impactful books I've ever read in my life. It changed a lot of things literally overnight for me. And I just remember going to work the next day like, I'm a new person. And I just felt so good about life. So if you are struggling with anxiety or depression, I highly recommend this book, because it really helps, and it gives you the tools and the knowledge that you need to break through your thoughts and to break through those repetitive cycles that you can have. I absolutely love this book, and it just shows you that happiness is from within, not external, and that you are an observer of your thoughts and you are not your thoughts, which is something that I say a lot, and that is where that quote is from. It's from this book. But my favourite quote from here is, "But in the end, you can throw it all away and just make one basic underlying decision. Do you want to be happy, or do you not want to be happy? It's really that simple. Once you make that choice, your path through life becomes totally clear." So yeah, it's that kind of thing where it's like, do you want to help yourself or do you not? And by the very fact that you've picked up the self-help book, or the fact that you're watching this video, means that you want to help yourself, and that is the most powerful like realization that you can have. So yeah, love that book so much, and yeah, like I said, highly recommend it. So the next book is book number 7, and it is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. So a very cliche book, I know that, but I really like this book, and I don't know, it was one of the first books that I ever properly read about the law of attraction, and I just think if you are wanting to get your foot in the door, this is an amazing book to read, because it really kind of gives you that grasp of what the law of attraction is and helps you to understand it a little bit more too. And so yeah, you know, to anyone out there who is just wanting to find out what it is, I highly recommend reading this book. And if you don't have the time to necessarily read the whole book, there is a YouTube video of the book kind of thing. So if you watch the YouTube video, you will kind of grasp what the book's about. I did both, and I was like, this is so much like the YouTube video. So yeah, highly recommend doing that, because it's amazing, and it basically works on the principle that you need to firmly believe that you already have exactly what you want in life. Not that you wish you could have it, or you know, whatever, it's just that you've got it. So let's say money, for example. Oh, I wish I had more money. You say, I am so thankful for all of the money that I've got and all of the money that I keep bringing into my life. I'm so thankful for the financial security that I've finally got in my life. Like, saying those things might not necessarily be true, but the more you say them, the more they become true, and the more you believe it, the more it becomes true. So it's just this like vicious cycle of believing it and it becoming true, and then as soon as you start to doubt it, it starts to all unravel on you. And so the law of attraction is super powerful, and I've explained it in a video in the past, and I firmly believe that the life that I'm living right now is due to all of these books, but this one in particular, just like learning to actually grasp law of attraction, has really helped me to bring a lot of amazing things into my life. So one of the amazing quotes from this book, because let me tell you, there are plenty, and if you go onto like Instagram and put in the law of attraction or The Secret, you'll find quote after quote after quote. So one that I chose out was, "You can create anything you want, but to do that you must follow the principles of the law of attraction. Eliminate all doubt and replace it with full expectation that you will receive what you are asking for. If you are not receiving what you are asking for, it's not that the law has failed you. It means that your doubt is greater than your fear." So yeah, it's just kind of implementing that real belief that what you want is what you are going to get, and that you are going to achieve so many things in life. So I highly recommend that book. I absolutely adore it, and yeah, I do really, really believe in the law of attraction. So the next book is number 8, and that is The Early Retirement Extreme by Jacob Lund Fisker. And this was a really strange book that I randomly stumbled across from watching someone that was like talking about finance on YouTube, and she recommended this book, and I was like, well, we'll give it a go. It's quite a read, like it's interesting to read, but it's quite wordy, but it's really fascinating. And yeah, when I read this, I was like, wow, this is super cool. Like, I read this when we were in France last summer, and it was really like, it really changed my perspective on a lot of things in life. And this guy kind of just talks about finances, but he talks about finances in every aspect of life, not just how to save money. He talks about how to actually save money, as in not spending money, and like fixing things rather than just buying new things, and how to recycle things, and how to just like get the most out of what you own. And the thing that I learned the most from him was that when something is expensive, it can seem like it's not worth your time, but if you use that thing that is expensive every single day of your life for the next 10 years, it soon pays itself off. And so it's always worth the investment. So yeah, I just think it talks about so many things that I'm really passionate about. So kind of along the zero waste kind of lines, and also with minimalism and just being conscious of what you are and what you bring into your life. So yeah, I absolutely adore this book so much. And he talks about how to plan for the future, plan for retirement, and how to actually like invest your savings, and how to like cut off a percentage of your wage to just put into savings, and to be able to live on less, basically, which is something that I'm really interested in. So a quote from this book is, "The question you need to answer is, what do you want to do with your life, given that you don't have the time to do everything? Do you want to spend most of your life paying off the interest on a 30-year mortgage and working so you can fill out increasingly bigger houses with increasingly more stuff, while being stuck in your daily commute in increasingly nicer cars? Or are you prepared to give up the stuff so that you can do whatever you want, wherever and whenever, within reason? What will your legacy be? What you earned, or who you were?" So yeah, like, just like I said, it's talking about minimalism, it's talking about owning less and living more, which is something that I'm very passionate about. So if you are interested in finance and you're interested in minimalism, then I think this book is amazing. He talks about every single thing. He even talks about exercise, he talks about diet, and he just talks about minimizing so many areas of your life, which is super interesting to me. So yeah, highly recommend that book too. So number 9 is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if I've said that right. I've probably not said half these people's names right, but we'll just pretend that I have. So this is another kind of cliche book, and it's one that's like always up there when people put out self-help books. I personally found it quite difficult to read. I thought it was a very hefty and very like just word vomit on a page. Like, it was so hard to get through. Some of the pages were alright, and it was just like, you know, be reading them and being like really taking it in. Towards the end of the book, I just kind of flaked on it, and I was just like, wow, this is really getting so repetitive. But towards the end, it starts to get better again. So if you've read it or you half read it, then I highly recommend just sticking to it and getting through to the end, because it's a very powerful book. It's probably one of the best books that I've read in terms of the actual content of it, not in readability terms, but in the actual stuff that you can get out of this book. And it just kind of helps you to break through the noise of your mind and to be able to like understand your thoughts a little bit more. So I think that this book and The Untethered Soul are very similar. The Untethered Soul is a little bit more easy to read, but they're both super valuable in their own ways. So, you know, this book is amazing too if you're struggling with anxiety or depression, and it really helps you to live more in the moment rather than in the past or in the future. It just helps you to really ground into the now and give you a reason to do that too. So one of my favourite quotes from this book is, "Nothing happened in the past, it happened in the now. Nothing will ever happen in the future, it will always happen in the now." And so yeah, it's just like remembering that every single choice that you make along the way, every single decision you make, every single second of the day impacts the future and impacts the past, but it's all made now. So if you are conscious in everyday life, you will always be impacting positively in your life. And so this book talks about loads of stuff, and it talks about breath in particular, and how to like control your breathing and how to come back into your body. And so yeah, truly fascinating book, and I learned a lot about it, and it's a very philosophical book, so I recommend it to any of you like old wise owls out there. So the last book, we are finally there. It's The Alchemist. So The Alchemist is actually a fiction book compared to the rest of all of the books, which have been non-fiction. But it's fascinating, and I remember when I first started reading it, I was like, everyone's banged on about The Alchemist for so long, and I started reading it and I was like, what even is this? Like, why am I reading like a fairy tale book? But I highly recommend it. It's only a short book and it's so worth the read. So the plot of the story is about a little shepherd who wants to find massive treasure and travel the world, and that is his goal. And you know, along the way on his little travels, you kind of find out things and it all kind of unravels, and he becomes wiser and stronger, and just he learns life. So you basically learn about life through this guy's story, and it's just amazing. And there's some amazing, just like, I don't know, it's a bit like a fable, like when you're young and they tell you these stories, but each story has like a deep meaning behind it. Well, this is one of those same books, and it's just nice as an adult to actually read a book that's fiction that actually has meaning and purpose behind it. So yeah, I really did like this book, and I found it very, very powerful. And you kind of just go, ah, right, that's cool. So yeah, my favourite quote from this book is, "I don't live in either my past or my future. I'm interested only in the present. If you can concentrate always on the present, you will be a happy man. Life will be a party for you, a grand festival, because life is the moment we are living now." So again, all of these books kind of have a similar storyline. They're all about living now, being present now, and being like living with purpose. And that's kind of something that I've found with self-help books in general, is that they're all about the same thing, and they're just worded differently. And that's the most amazing thing, is that that seems to be the secret. I don't know if any of you guys have like figured this out yet, but you know, the law of attraction and positive thinking and positive mindset, they get you to where you want to be in life. And every single self-help book out there has the exact same information, just dressed differently. And so, you know, reading these positive books and just reading every single one of them, like the more you read, the more you become it. And when I was feeling really down a few years ago, I would just read self-help book after self-help book, and just on this like, and I read like, I was probably reading like a book a week at one point, and it just put me in such an amazing headspace. And so I highly recommend doing that. And like I said, if you don't have time to read books, you can get audiobooks, and you can also listen to like TED Talks, or to, I don't know, like Tony Robbins or someone, or Bob Proctor's amazing too. Listen to them on YouTube while you're cooking tea, while you're doing whatever you're doing. Just have them on in the background, just going into your brain. It will just heighten your mood, and it will just make you in such a better headspace. And you know, you can just take on so much more stuff when you're learning, and you're developing your brain and your thought patterns as well. So yes. Thank you so much for listening to me blabber on about all of these books. I hope that you found it a little bit useful. Like I said, I'll leave all of the links to the books below so that you can check them out a little bit more. There are heaps of reviews on Amazon for each one, so you know, you can get a bit more of a feel for them. But this is just my personal experience of them and how I enjoyed them all. So yeah, you know, if you've got any books that you would recommend that I didn't list here, then please leave them below, because I'd be super interested to know. I am always looking for new amazing self-help books. Like I said, it's my favourite thing to read. A little bit verging on obsession. But yeah, these are 10 that I absolutely love, and that have caused me to be where I am right now in my life. You know, they've had such a repercussion on my mood, my outlook on life, and just my actual thoughts, and the way that I don't know, the way that I think has been changed dramatically because of the philosophies in most of these books. So yes. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you've got any other videos you'd like to see from me, then I'd be more than happy to help. So just leave them in a little comment below, and I can get around to filming them. So yes, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and please subscribe if you're new. We talk about all kinds of things on this channel, but yeah, I love talking about self-help and talking about, you know, believing in yourself and the law of attraction, and just being a positive person in general. I just think it's just raising the vibration of these social media platforms is just so important. And so I really hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you come away from it with a big smile on your face, because my face is nearly hurting from smiling so much. So yes, have an amazing day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all very soon. Bye guys.